That's where we buy.
Fantastic. You would have hired 5 different people one for ethics, one for digital, one for innovation, one for sustainability, and one for empathy. But now you need to find one person with all 5 skills. So that's the complexity you were talking about. Thank you, Ashutosh. I'm going back to you. One of the I want to more focus on the skills gap from a business perspective. So when you talk to your HR leader, what are the top skills gap that you're seeing in the organization that you're saying, hey, let's bridge this skills gap? Okay. We could be domain, functional, technical, whatever it is. And would you like to talk about that?
So I think it's a great question because you already went as technologically advanced to RJ today's time, and if I don't see that, it's been a great journey the last 1 year. When I came in, there was not even any Microsoft Outlook in the company. It was a public spawn, and there was not even. So I had to actually sit with the CHRO and try and align my thought process to say how I communicate with my 300 plus people, And it was a brokerage so veteran of WhatsApp groups, and it was business. There was so much money being generated that you could then think about how do you structure it or what process would be needed. So I just came away went to the HR and seemed like they were to align with it. They said it's going the way it is the way it should be explained well. The owners are happy. So we're not, I don't think we could do any enhancements. It's also 600 dirhams conversion per year to get an outdoor license. And I said, are you joking here right now? Because this takes so much money, outdoor marketing and advertising, and you talking about 25,000 euros per year. So it went on from that level where then finally, actually I had to fire that CHRO, because I couldn't really, align with it, and I had to tell the owner that this is not going to happen this way, and we got another one, a very important Australian person, the lady who came in, and she and I just obviously be very professional, do things in a nice way, which is when we got all these activities done in the first 3 months itself. There are a lot of changes, verified few others, yes, people that weren't performing, and so you have to have something structure in the beginning. If you think your people don't have the right skill set, like you say, technology is number one. Where if there is, you imagine there's a top outlook, how do I get them to get an HRMS? There's no HRMS. People are not, logging in. People are not, as an HR, you need to know who's out, who's not, what are your lead balances, you need to know basic things, which was not happy. But that's a great learning for a new company, if you come in and then, you want to be a big developer from a broker, which is what's happening a lot in this market. So the HR function becomes key, is what I believe, and the training with those people, and training always be under HR. I don't see it as a different partner. Like in the Mac, I was in the Mac before to this with my family, and training was a function in itself. But in my case of a new company, I had the privilege to take some decision viewers, they overly that he could do the right thing. So I got training, specific training, head of training who came under HR. I will report it to the HR head as well. But then we wanted to see who's good, who can even operate on a CRM. There was no CRM in the company. So we had to go from basics there, and it showed to build a strong corporate. The basic thing is upskilling is much, much better, which is happening now as we speak. But we went off of the basics. Then I went to all the, Microsoft for the world, Oracle for the world, SaaS. But finally I ended up, taking Kika. He has a new one, system for HRMS, but I thought they were very, very relevant, and they were less than half cost, and therefore I put that decision. But these are basic things which were required, and now the trading is having its own, paradigm, or they're having the more KPIs to say what are you going to do with each of this function, and which is how technology being embedded. But this is very new, unlike Soha built a great brand. It's still new Rakam though. So we are getting there. Hopefully we will.
Fantastic. So since technology, digital and data are definitely key requirements for every human resource professional. So for all the students out there, it's not just about technology and data really packed too. Ranjit, what are the key skills gaps that you are seeing in the workforce today?
Completely aligned with what Amit is saying. And I think it also depends on the stage and the maturity of the organization, right? So, one of the things that we find that there needs to be a bigger curve is actually managers, the managerial skills of people. The environment in real estate especially is very high pressure. And, unfortunately, the region is still catching up with people policies, which probably is, given in the rest of the world. So it becomes a little bit of a double-edged sword for managers to have those meaningful conversations with people. Everything said, done, systems in place, functional skills in place. Your organization is only as good as the manager you work for. And combined with the problem that we face in DCC is, like I told you, policies, right? So I think is one is to up that whole capability of having equitable practices to stand out in the world. And second is to develop your managers to have conversations, meaningful conversations, difficult conversations, performance conversations, so on and so forth. I think that both those gaps, one is at the organization point, the other is from a pure people point of view. I think these two are critically things that Sobha is focusing on.
Fantastic. So, if you've been, you had opportunity to work in multiple countries, you would realize that the region is still lagging behind on some of the proven resource practices and maturity aspects. But having seen India jump from 2G to 4G to 5G, I think the GCC or the Middle East region is a significant jump from the current perspective to future proofing themselves really fast. So he could really judge at this. But completely agree with you. Must be a difficult transition for you to can upskill that to the data processing.
It is. And also, I mean, there's organizational readiness, right? And the majority of the organizations, today we are Harvard white paper on backward integration, which means the organization itself is looking at very different practices that probably nobody else in the real estate industry is talking about. So that kind of acts as a catalyst. We can't only do that. We say, okay, we will develop particular posts hand in hand. So there is that organizational willingness to put that extra effort to bridge that gap that we see.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, the question that constantly everyone asks is, what is the role of HR in any organization transformation? I think ensuring to the organization is ready for transition. The digital readiness index, the organization readiness index, is a key role of HR, and like you hired it well, effective. Because from a services perspective, obviously you always see that the workforce, the white collar workforce, is much ahead in terms of a lot of the data aspects, digital and technology. But I just want to find out from you, what are the skills gaps that you notice in the services and
So I think let me carry that with one and one thing is that services company have evolved over a period of time and we suffered whether it's a big 10 or a big 4 or 2. That talent region has always been a dish. So whether it's the US or it's Europe or India or Middle East. So they had set up a very robust process. In fact, I think they are one of the most advanced in that, set up a very robust process of get talent in tape in a way where the industrial schedule starts from that minute onwards, depending on which service line they were equipped. So someone's heading into, let's say, Cyrus or developments or whatever it is, they'll get into that from the day one as not magic pills, but like serious on-ground effective training skill. And we said that the gap still exists, to your point. The biggest gap right now, surprisingly, despite everything, is the lack of understanding of digital space. Despite of only advanced and despite the data generation urgency coming soon into the workforce and everything, that still seems to be a very wide gap for some reason. We didn't define what that means. The expectation is not from the sources, is from the principal. People like, Ranjit as a panic the organizations or retail or other industries. The clients, per se, they would like people to come and solve the problems. That's the whole justice of service industry end of the day. To solve the problems, they need to have the basic understanding of what is a diagnostic approach to solving. And to get to diagnostic approach, very logically speaking, the understanding of the problem, the context of digitalization today is very important. So I think people come, youngsters, young experience also at about 4 to 5 year experience and do come with very good knowledge and background about what is digital space. But the gap is that the application of how that goes into various elements, that was missing. So oil and gas, construction industry, or retail, and so on and so forth, there is a huge gap. And that is what the firms have to spend a lot of money and time to make sure that gap is very big recovered.